Welcome back, everyone, to the North American Challengers League, presented by Subway. I'm Mazel. I'm not Mad Magical, even though we both start with M's. Thanks for Mad Magical stepping in and covering for Deserex, who was feeling sick. Deserex, I hope you feel better soon, my friend. But Cubby, likely duo here. We get our last match of the day, and it is going to be a banger. We have Supernova versus AOE, and AOE coming off an upswing yesterday. Hard-fought series, but should be a lot of fun. We're going to be diving straight into the draft here, so want to get your brass tacks and your thoughts on the series as a whole coming into it, into our last game of Week 5.
Honestly, kind of excited for this one. For me, the jury is still a little bit out on AOE because AOE is in that realm of teams where we haven't seen quite as many games played by them. So I'm like kind of trying to figure out like where the team lies, but hey, they put on a really good look just yesterday as they found a nice 2-0 over Lit. I thought things looked really good for them. They had good game plans. Game 2, they blew Lit out of the water from the lane phase.
Yeah. And game 1 a little bit closer, but you know.
Yeah, it was a good bounce back after dropping the series to Mirage Alliance, and taking Supernova down here would be huge, as Supernova for me is a top 3 team that we have in the league right now, right behind Maryville and FlyQuest Challengers. So win here again would kind of solidify them in that slot for me, and excited to see these two teams go toe-to-toe.
Well, we'll have Supernova on the blue side for game number 1 of this one. AOE on the red side. We already get the Rumble, the Orianna, and the Udyr bans away from Supernova, as well as that Varus and the Maokai ban. So a lot of utility off the table, as well as that Ashe.
And Karma actually makes her way through. So Supernova can use this as a flex. We have seen it played at support, mid. Haven't seen it top yet in Challengers League, but we have seen that played throughout. Even in the FlyQuest show match yesterday, Jensen played it bot. So Karma brings a lot of flexibility. And thematically does counter like teams that struggle into shields. Like, I'm kind of surprised that we saw a Rumble ban, given that someone's willing to play Karma. Is like, for me, Karma is actually kind of a thematic counter to make sure you can get out of Rumble, but putting some respect on Zamudo's name. And also, more Senna Nautilus maybe cropping up. I love this duo from LCK. I think it's very oppressive and glad to see more teams grabbing it.
Yeah, you know, I'm here for it. I think it's interesting. I don't know if it's the most exciting, but it is a little fun because you do have that extra engage potential, right? And you'll have that long distance. I feel like more so than the Tom Kench. But I specifically like the skirmishing that Kenvy's getting here. I think Kenvy has been very vocal that he wants to play his game this year. He wants to feel confident in himself. And then coming up with something that's so strong, 1-3, that improves his pathing is super important.
I like that too because it's something that looking at this team when it was built Supernova, for me it makes a lot of sense, like how these pieces were put together. But one piece that I thought was curious is like Shochi and Kenvy were definitely going to have to meet in the middle a little bit. Both these players are used to getting resources. I think that Kenvy has really shown what he learned in LCS so far this split. I think he's played the supportive junglers pretty well in terms of how he's pathed and managed the game. But this time around, it looks like Shochi going to be dropping some resources for Kenvy if that is indeed going to be the Karma mid. Of course, it can be flex bot, but as an opportunity, as we see marksman bans right now for AOE, that makes sense to me. Maybe they get rid of Ezreal, just kind of scared that could be like Ezreal Karma in the bot lane, and give it some more certainty that Karma is going to be mid.
I'm actually really happy they took away the Smolder. I think Smolder Karma bot lane is kind of ridiculous. You just have so much poke that you can keep presence in the lane. I feel like Senna definitely doesn't want to deal with that, even with some of that sustain that you have. It is that Kalista that's going to join the ban table finally in the second phase for AOE. Now you're looking at potentially more jungle bans, more of that skirmishing, or things that are good matchups into the Xin Zhao.
Trundle ban for sure. That's one where, I mean, you just yoink his stats. Xin can only go in. Trundle pillar traps you there, and you are doomed. Viego as well, a Rose Thorn specialty pick. I believe it's still his most played in his career. Very good Viego player. And curious what that relegates Rose Thorn to now. He could play a tank. You have the Senna to support you from the, like, you know, behind. Or something like Graves is something like you can do something like that if you really want. Talia would be interesting, as Onat would be willing to blind. That does shut down Xin going in. So something that really can hold the line for the Senna Nautilus.
And I think Rose Thorn is an interesting candidate for myself because yesterday we were coming into the day, we were saying we really need Rose Thorn to step up. I feel like last year he did have some really good pathing early. He had a glow up yesterday. So and even with some of those early failings, he was able to kind of grit his teeth and pull it out. So against Kenvy, I feel like it's a true test to see, is Rose Thorn back to business as usual. We do see that flexibility probably being played towards here as the Lovers duo locked in for Supernova.
Okay, so I think Supernova, this comp, they want to play fast. They're going to need to keep pushing forward. Talia Nautilus can really hold the line against this, and I think that if Supernova isn't able to get an early lead, they will be controlled later on. by AOE, because the Cenonaut, you play games really slow. Talia, really tough to push through that graveled earth. Aatrox as well, has all the zoning power in the world. And Rosethorn going to opt for that tank in the Sejuani, just knowing that if they are able to survive the initial burst and engage, Senna sustain from behind, able to just control these fights, play it slow. It's something that AOE can play out very well, and hopefully neutralize Supernova's comp.
Another Rosethorn classic, it feels like something he opted into a lot last year as well. But here, it does give you some of that ability to skirmish with the early Zins. I don't know if you necessarily want to take that fight, but your clear speed is able to find a lot of reactions on the map. So early pathing for both junglers, I think it feel like very important. But also this mid lane, Onat willing to go with the Talia here, a little bit different, I feel like.
Yeah, it's something where, I mean, this is something that can support the map in a sense, but we saw this matchup earlier. Quad really got the best of messages in our first series today. As the Talia into the Karma, he was able to start in lane. He was hitting the wave level 1 with that Unraveled Earth, and curious if Onat's going to be able to get a similar setup, as I think that it was a base that was forced from Quad that led to him being able to have mid push, and that really shifted how that matchup went. So we'll see if Supernova can play it better than what happened earlier in the day.
I think the matchup itself is going to be super crucial, because if Shochi can get out with Kenvi, that duo becomes so strong. We've seen even like level 2 being able to sustain so much with the shielding and healing. So I definitely am looking at Onat and Rosethorn to try to hold the line at least at some point in this one. But another factor for me is this bottom lane. I know you want to talk about it a little bit more as well, but we have two pretty established veterans of our scene in Diamond and Breezy going at it.
These two guys, for me, I mean, they've been kind of on the brink, or like some of the top supports that we have had in our system. And it's interesting this year, because like so many supports have been promoted over the last couple of years. You know, thinking of Ayla, Chime just made his return, right? But he was up there. Busio as well. And I feel like the door has kind of been opened up for that next crop of people to make their case for LCS as well. Diamond's someone that, you know, has also had a back and forth. Breezy is someone that has always just been so close on the brink to us, and always plays engages really well. So excited to see these two go toe-to-toe. Definitely a matchup that we've seen before, but two players that we still think are quality here in Challengers League.
And so far, the one that's cooking is Breezy, going with the new Nautilus Sanitary. It's not new, but a little bit more popular now, it feels like. Yeah, and I think it's interesting to think about, because you do have these mirrored side starts for both junglers. So obviously, with a little bit of finicky pathing, can path down there, but it definitely seems like Rosethorn's gonna be putting presence to make sure that Wixie and Breezy don't go down.
Yeah, red buff mirrored starts from each of our junglers, so it will be Rosethorn making his way towards the bot side, and Kenvi potentially making his way into Rosethorn's jungle. I'm curious to see how active and involved they get early, as the Karma empowered Xin Zhao with lethal tempo can do a lot of damage. Yeah.
It is ridiculous. There will be a little bit of vision play happening here. Onat going to get a ward down as well on the Chicky Nuggies. Likely mirrored just like the starts, but Kenvi is not going to be seen. You know, seeing if he can wrap around, actually, first and foremost. He will just turn back.
Oh, okay. He did spot Rosethorn, so I was wondering, like, he didn't have level 3. I was a little bit surprised to see him. A little bit of wasted time there from Kenvi, as Shochi going to find a nice Mantra Q. And this lane going much better for Shochi than what we saw for Messages versus Quad. Meanwhile, bot lane, the double Doran's items are tough, but if you get on Senna, you have a chance.
Yeah, the sustain is the problem now, though. Diamond needs to be a lot more careful on the exit, rather. The entrance looked good, but we'll see now. Kenvi actually had invaded. Will spot out Rosethorn. See if he wants to stay being aggressive. It's like Rosethorn has pushed him off for now.
Kenvi's actually going to look for... I mean, he spots the Sejuani. He could look for mid-dive if they want to really get aggressive here.
Oh, Shochi. He goes for the angle there, try to get the slowdown. Rosethorn. Oh, the flash is coming out. Kenvi trying to go for it, but Rosethorn has arrived. They thought he was doing the camps, and they come up badly as Shochi heals a decent amount from that chain. Another heal coming through as well, but he can't get away from Onat. O-Nation coming up with first blood. Kenvi doesn't want to let that one go, though.
I mean, for Supernova here, they knew everything. They had all the information at their disposal, and they went for a play that wasn't there. They get punished in the back half. And taking another look, yeah, Onat's low. This is a...
I think he was doing the camps, but Rosethorn just immediately came.
Yeah, but like he drops blue buff, he's level 3, and I mean, once this misses, there's no play. And even if you hit that, Rosethorn's here to respond. So I think this take far too aggressive on the Karma's
Oh, we got picture-in-picture. Solo Bolo coming up. Oh! Close to it. Close.
Zumuno nearly finding the kill as the Aatrox onto Faisal, who did have to burn the Ghost. And Rosethorn, I mean, while all this is going on, it looks like Xin Zhao took the bot crab in the back half of that play, so that's his 4th camp that he's taken. Rosethorn was able to get the top crab and take away the blue buff from Xin, so Rosethorn ahead off that first clear, really punishing Envy. And as you called out, Lennon, a much better game from Rosethorn in that series. They just played yesterday against Lit. Rosethorn was dominant in those 2 games, especially game 2 where all of AOE was dominant. And Rosethorn already taking advantage of Kenby's mishap in the mid lane, punishing him, getting ahead in this matchup already.
And it's been that kind of comeback story, I feel like, for Rosethorn, even though, you know, when he started with Golden Guardians Academy, we're like, okay, he's made it to this tier 2, he's ready to go. There's been a lot of fluctuations since then, a little bit of time has passed, but he feels like he's right back to where I feel like that prospect of him being such a good jungler was to before, and I think now when we see the growth continue for him, if he keeps on this trajectory, it can be pretty strong for him looking forward into this season.
Rosethorn definitely someone that, you know, has always had good early game plans. It's just that sometimes pushing things a little bit too much, or when the script gets broken, not responding well enough compared to some of the other junglers in the league. Definitely good to see some of that growth from Rosethorn. At least moving forward, and also still a very strong jungler that we have. Definitely one that we've always felt like belonged in this league. As Rosethorn at the moment trying to trade out the dragon as the grubs were taken. But Kenby is showing on mid. He is down a level, but Shochi has 6. So more.
Shochi's priority. Easy does it. Pushes Rosethorn off of it, and I see where that poke is coming through. The mobility of the Karma really coming in clutch for Shochi.
You see Onat down. He was starved a little bit early on. Just kind of forced to do the best he can in terms of clearing the wave. Dragon, though, not taken by Rosethorn. That's a little bit of waste of time, and everything matters here when you're going up against the Xin Zhao Karma, because if this duo is able to get going and they're able to play fast, it's very oppressive against teams.
Just wondering, now that we've had the mismatched trade of objectives and the fact that Kenby can be here to respond to the dragon, if this dragon even gets close to being taken anytime soon, Kenby will be spotted out by the sliver of vision. But they haven't gotten away because Rosethorn is on his way here. The wind does become lightning, but not going to be following that one up anytime soon. Shochi's on his way. The ward's going to run out before he gets seen. A little bit dicey.
This is okay, though. I mean, AOE can just play this neutral. Dropping the dragon isn't the worst thing in the world. Again, looking at the compositions, this Xayah Rakan plus the Xin Karma duo, very much stronger at this point in the game. AOE needs some levels and items to survive the initial damage from the champs that Supernova has. And I think they're going to try and play fights, though, and just play off fight resets. That's really going to be their key. So I like the fact that AOE is dropping this and they're looking elsewhere. I know it's the first 2 neutrals going over to Supernova, but I think this is the correct decision from AOE given the drafts.
I know you've had some crazy times today, sir.
Oh my god, the last series? Oh jeez. The sanity is back. I like this, Lennon.
Oh, goodness gracious. It's been a day. I love it that we're getting this chaos at the end of week number 5.
It is
that's the other thing, is we are pretty heftily into our season now. You know, it is a single round robin. It's very important to be picking up these wins, especially somebody like Supernova, who can put themselves in the upper crust, right, with a 4-1 scoreline. We do see Rosethorn finding a gank on mid lane. Shochi in some trouble here. There's that seismic shove, and it's all she wrote. Shochi goes down to Rosethorn.
No flash, insta-punish coming out from AoE. That's textbook. And that does give AoE something to do in this early game. He can be cleaning up the Raptors. Rosethorn able to return to his camps. Nice find from Rosethorn, as I think the flash commit, making sure that Shochi falls, very much warranted. And Shochi, that's not the worst when your Karma's behind, right? Karma's mostly utility, but yeah, it is at least something to make sure that, again, things can get moving in the right direction for AoE. We favor AoE as this game goes on. They have a lot of good scaling elements they can use in the Supernova. So I think a really good start for AoE in this one.
Yeah, I think if you aren't able to have even a lead early on with this composition from Supernova, you're going to be hurting a little bit as time goes on. But there's always time to catch that back up, especially with the way the neutral objectives have gone for them. We will have another spawn coming up here pretty soon. So looking forward to seeing a little bit more presence around this top side of the map and seeing Shochi and Kenby really unlocked on the map, because that's what it feels like it's going to be.
At the moment, though, I mean, Talia has a lot of wave clear. You can kind of block the Karma in lane, especially if Talia is able to get ahead, which Shochi going down twice. Onat should be cracking open a level advantage at some point, which is really nice on the Talia. And if you do get this
Weaver as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you get this lane ahead, again, you can go support other places on the map where bot's already pretty much been stymied and neutralized here by Breezy. Envy spotted, getting even more info to AOE where they could potentially make a move bot. Summoners are up across the board for Supernova. I don't know what AOE's target is at the moment, but I think AOE is pretty chill, just keeping the game chill. So.
Yeah, and I think Rosethorn backs now to get presence back towards top side of the map. Kenvi is on spawn doing the grubs. This would be pretty terrifying to give over because it'd be all 6 of them. And I don't know if Rosethorn could get there in time.
So I will say one part about the Senna Knot is that you can rotate them to fight grubs. And they are very strong if you are able to rotate them over. So I think that AOE kind of missing this timer with this pick, it's going to make the 3v3 kind of hard to win on top side as Onat's looking for a chunk with Zamudo.
Oh my god, we got double fights going down. Dawning Shadow comes across Zamudo, winning it now with those heal stacks. And he's going to go for the Qs. He gets it. Faisal's down. Now Shochi gets Glacial Prison. Kenvi going for it. Nice diamond over the top. Hit. As now Zamudo's the big deal here as it does mean Supernova backs away. The Grubbies have been left to their own devices. Rosethorn will go back to pick up the last one, and at least it denies that 6 stack.
I mean, it's a big win, though, for Supernova. Array got a plate solo as he chose to not rotate. I think that is a good decision from Supernova. And Supernova picked up a kill in that fight. At least it was traded out, right? Like, Zamudo gets a kill. Overall, I'm going to favor what happened, like, for Supernova. I think that they ended up getting more in the end, as they at least get 5 grubs. You're going to get a replay of Faisal versus Zamudo. Zamudo up a level.
And he's just hitting all the Q spots.
Yeah.
Like even this one on the back end here when he goes through the flash play or like the
Yeah, that's
the
really
dash
nice.
play.
That's really nice. Well played, Zamudo, as he gets the refresh. Of course, we do have the trade as Onat is able to fall. Nice flash from Kenvi. But I think the big one is honestly just Array getting plates, as Array getting some free time. Really nice. The Zaya has to out DPS Senna and is very much at a range disadvantage going up against Talia, Senna, Nautilus, where I think one of the really strong combos, again, this is a core that we've seen a lot in LCK. Those dredge lines can pull you through the Unraveled Earth, and that does proc the stun instantly, and that's really tough for teams to deal with in the front line.
Another thing I'm thinking about is the pace of play of this game. Because of the way the neutral objectives went down unevenly earlier, it just every 2 minutes we're having objective fights. We're having need of control around the map. Onat spotted out on a Weaver's Wall angle there from mid lane, but we got to expect that here in about 20 seconds there's going to be a little bit more priority around this Dragon Pit.
Rosethorn looks like sneaking into the fog. This is going to deny the Blast Cone. Let's get the ward down, so some pings going out from Supernova. They really want this dragon. I think they want to fight it. I am a bit surprised that AOE is so down to start this one themselves. Again, I think that just given the power curves of both teams, Supernova is strong now. I don't know if AOE has the items to quite stymie this yet, but here comes the Weaver's Wall. Kenvi.
Wall came across, but Kenvi was in there like swimwear, got the dragon, and now the fight ensues afterwards. Dawning Shadow goes across, Breezy's out with his health bar barely intact, it goes down. And that means Supernova are free to continue chasing as a TP coming in. Zamudo is the big difference maker here. Can they turn this around? Rosethorn goes down, a double kill to Array. Here comes Zamudo over the top here. Can he get the Q spots? He can't do it. He's being CC'd to all get out. As Diamond's going to go over. Shochi might be in some trouble here. He doesn't have flash, doesn't have any way out, but he has some sustain. And he will end up going down. AOE scrappily fight it, but they lose the dragon.
Yeah, and again, I kind of favor where I see Supernova at the moment. Like, Envy was able to at least pick up a kill, and Faisal gets a lot of free time in the top side where he can kind of bounce back into this matchup. 5 grubs enables 3 turret plates to go over to Faisal from this push. Dragon still for Supernova. And I'm surprised that AoE took that fight, because for me, like, you need to get an item onto the Santa Nautilus. You want the Blood Song, and then you can really start looking for fights and for picks. Instead, they go now and take a look. I mean, there's just not enough damage from AoE to deal with this comp, and Kenvi is just pumping damage with the help of the Rakan, the Karma, to close the gap, make sure that he is ripping through the health bars of AoE.
It was a very interesting start to the fight.
Yeah.
Kenvi getting in over the Weaver's wall is actually so clutch. But yeah, the scrappiness after the Zamudo late TP actually was huge. Now we're getting Kenvi trying to go for a fight that might have been a little bit more than he could chew. And Wixie is the one that comes up clutch with that one.
Onat now.
Onat.
He is
little
going
tossback.
to be
Shochi is tanky.
safe.
Oh my
Rose
goodness.
Thorn
He's
is
going to go for
coming.
another one. I think he's got it. Yeah, Shochi gets the kill in the end. As now I think Diamond's going to have to come try to save Shochi, but he cannot. The shielding is pretty big. And Diamond's going to escort him out, Mr. President Shochi, and they make
Breezy's
it out
got an
alive.
ult.
I
And
think
Breezy
they might.
ult. Oh,
The lollipop's not
Breezy.
enough.
Honestly, if I'm Breezy there, I want to hook for the wall and guarantee an ult. I think that if he does that, maybe they can find more, but Supernova able to bounce back from that one. Meanwhile, Zamudo.
Get a little 1v1. Nice drag back with the chain, and Zamudo's got this one all day long. Faisal forces out the fight. There's the TP coming in to save the day. And Shochi will be present topside.
All right. Well, this game's gotten a little hectic here, Mizel. I will give Supernova some props. I think that they have to fight. They have to brawl early and make things volatile. This, again, is when their comp is strong. I don't know if it's enough, and that's going to be the real question. I think the biggest positive right now for Supernova is that Array is ahead of the power curve. He's going to take this brick for himself. He's gotten a lot of free time. That is first turret. Kraken Slayer already done. If he's able to get Nabori extra early, I really think Supernova can push the pace of this game and make things hard for AOE.
I know we were talking about the veterancy on the other side for Diamond and Breezy, but honestly, one of my premier matchups here is Array Wixie, because it feels like it's a matchup that's made in Destiny to some extent, but also two guys that are really showing out this year and feeling like they're making a great name for themselves. But making a great name is going to need to be continued here because the Rift Herald is up and AOE are already positioned here. They go for Shochi. They actually find him out. Onat's coming over with the Weaver's Wall too. Shochi makes it out alive. Zamudo wants to make sure he can't, but he's still going. A beautiful blade caller, but Zamudo ends up taking him out with the help of Onat. It is a trade though. 2-for-1 in favor of Supernova.
Oh, Kenvi.
Oh, Kenvi with the schmoves.
Again, I don't think AOE should be pressing right now. I think it's really tough, them taking these fights so deep. We're going to take another look. They have numbers, they have the angle, but the ult from Rosethorn goes wide. You could wait for the execution coming out from the Nautilus. Shochi survives for so long, and they chase to make sure that he's dead, and by the back half of this fight, I mean, everyone was isolated. Like, Wixie and Onat were never truly able to be involved. The way that you want to play out this comp is that you want to catch the engages from Supernova, lean on the center of the range, the line heals to kind of really make sure that you push Supernova back, and you can have all that damage when they're jumping into you and give them no escape because they've committed everything to go in. AOE just did that to Supernova's comp. Supernova easily able to turn it around and utilize the damage that they have when you jump in. They love that, right? Because they can get the damage down, they can jump forward and chase you. So I think AOE needs to catch the engages from Supernova, and that would be a much better setup for them in this game.
Well, they don't have much time because, like we were saying, the timers are so desynced that the fighting is constant, nearly. The Rift Herald is up TP in mid lane from Zamudo. We get a positioning for at least pressure in mid lane with this Rift Herald play, but it's really the Dragon this is all about.
Supernova, they're going to get control over the river. And like AOE, I mean, keep in mind, they had a 1.5k gold lead early on in this one, Mizel. Now they're going to be down 700 gold, down Prio to get to this Dragon. They're trying to work their way around this big wall. But good poke damage coming out from Shochi.
The death wall, Cubby?
Yes, the death wall itself. And now Supernova,
just walks in there. I love it. Kenvi is in some trouble. That Crescent Guard is getting so much value over the wall right there. Zamudo on the back line, though. He's trying to find Diamond. We get the trade already. Breezy's gone. Zamudo's trying to get something there, but it's not going to happen. And that just means Dragon number 3 over to Supernova. Zamudo getting soloed out by Faisal. And the dominoes are starting to fall in favor of Supernova.
I mean, look at this. I really feel like AOE took fights too early in their power curve, and now Supernova, they've been able to slingshot this game back in their favor off the back of Array, who, and Zamudo was kind of holding the Xayah at bay in that fight, but it wasn't enough, as Array is still able to pump things out, and while that was all going on, again, like, the damage for AOE just isn't there.
Yeah, it's not there yet.
Yeah.
And the combo of the Shochi Kenby show right now is ridiculous. The amount of damage that was blocked from that Crescent Guard over the wall, insane. If we can get a look back at that one. But the momentum continues for Supernova as they have those mites spawning. They're going to try to take down this outer tower.
Easy take for Supernova.
Yeah, I wonder if the way that you can play now for AOE is still the same as what we were talking about earlier, because they've tried to take some of these early fights and it hasn't gone their way. Now they're at a deficit where we were saying literally if Supernova are ahead, they are very happy.
I think that's a good point. I also think that, like, overall, like, the AoE comp's just kind of low damage. Like, again, I really like the core of all this. I think that, like, Sejuani, though, is the tank. Like, I'm used to seeing, you know, Lee Sin Viegos being played with the Sentinel because you have such easy setup and, like, a way to support this. I'm wondering if AoE just, like, ended up going too tanky or, like, too low damage. Again, I think they fought outside their power windows, so really playing into, like, the hands of Supernova. As now, I mean, Supernova, they've caught it, and this is a great game state. The worst thing for Supernova is that they rolled a pretty ass soul, but you're against a low-damage team. Like, Ocean Soul actually has real value against Sentinel Nautilus where the fights are slow.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think being able to kind of continue the trudge ahead, honestly, a superstar in this game, it is a trudge. I think a superstar in this game is going to be Zamudo, and the angles that he's going to have, it's already been super important, but more so his backline access, because we've seen it be integral this time. It just matters when that damage starts to become available for AoE, then that pull away onto the backline is even more important. Ooh. Zamudo, speaking about him, I think he got some of that back from Kenby there. Now Rosethorn's over here, and the Weaver's Wall, and the Dawning Shadow. It's like the Avengers have been called for AoE, and they have trounced Supernova. Kenby getting caught again.
Kenby too far in, just didn't have support of the squad. And again, this is what AoE wants to do. They want to catch the engages, catch people being off guard. They have a ton of CC. They've got damage over time. They aren't going to burst people out, but they have the ability to control the terrain of a fight.
Rosethorn needs to play a little bit further back now, but it feels like a little bit of the calming of the brakes is working out for AoE. There is about a 2-minute timer, though, for this Dragon. They absolutely don't want to give over that soul. So getting these lanes in a correct position, getting some of these resets off, and getting that vision around there is super cool.
$150 till the Dragon. That's the other thing with, like, these Senna comps is that you really can't threaten Baron. Like, your biggest threat of Baron is to actually get people to walk in and then hopefully turn. I think that AoE, they're going to push out, fix their side waves here, and then we'll see what kind of collapse Onat has. I think the big highlight is look at Array, the items. He does have that Navori completed, and looks like he's going to sneak back to get even more. So we're going to have to see how far Array is ahead of the power curve. I think that if Array goes for the third item LDR, if he's able to get that, yeah. The fact that he picked up the one component of that is going to help him a lot in this fight. And Array has really been funneled gold, and it's going to be a big piece of making sure that Supernova can get through that big front line of AoE.
He's the crucial puzzle piece. It was all the Kenby Shochi show earlier. Well, they have propped up their man, and they've got to get Array online here. Their Dragon is coming up, priority in mid lane, all important. The biggest thing is some of those item spikes did not come across for AoE, at least just yet, and they've got about 45 seconds, so no back's going to be available. Faisal is on his way down walking because no TP is available for him. Zamudo does have TP. Oh, they really want Faisal here. They're going to TP, at least that's Onat joining, and they're going to keep Zamudo here, have TP available to get the side lane if they need to.
That's some good poke connecting from Shochi. I think that Shochi is a tad under-leveled at this point, so a lot of this fight, again, going to be Array, Faisal, Kenby is Kenby.
Oh, they get the angle there, though. Rosethorn, he's trying to go for something on the back, but Zamudo's the one tanking everything up. Oh, my goodness, that blade caller. It connects huge, and Array is starting to take them down. Breezy, Spider-Man's his way out, and Supernova get huge health bar differentials, but it doesn't mean AoE are out of the fight just yet.
Line heals from Wixie, and Zamudo can TP back. Wixie is going to take a chunk from Shochi. Blast Cone denied. Dragon's at half. Rosethorn can't get here in time. This is dead.
They got to get in there. He's going across the death wall. He's gone into the pit, but no. It's going to be the grand entrance denial there as well. Kenby's trying to get in, trying to heal up. That's a nice denial from him. And Breezy can't get onto Kenby, and it just means a split fight from AOE is not one they're going to find. Supernova find the crux, and they shove it into the face of AOE.
They took a comp that wanted to fight early, and frankly, they fell behind. But Supernova, they've been the ones to find the angles on the back half. This team fight was already being made easy because of all the damage that Array got off in the first skirmish, and now they just get the fighter front to back with the DPS marksman in Array. Still had that ult available, was able to play off. I love the positioning of that as he forced everyone out of the choke, isolated Zamudo, ensures that Supernova gets the soul, and now gets the Baron.
See this rally cry Baron buff go over. Momentum in full swing of Supernova. They've gotten everything so far except for one Grubby. So that's a pretty impressive trademark to have as control of the map, and that's something we wanted to look at coming into this one, especially Rosethorn on the up and up, Kenby on the up and up, trying to see what this matchup was truly going to look like, and it has been a boxing match, it feels like, between these two guys. So far, though, Supernova feeling very confident now with their gigantic lead to push out on the map.
And Supernova, I mean, the team at 3-1, I really feel like these guys have been towards the top of the table in terms of like where I rank the teams right now, Mazel. Just like trying to kind of break into that Fly-C Maryville conversation to make this a 3-horse race instead of a 2-horse race. I think that Supernova, they don't play perfect League, but what I like about this team, what I liked about a lot of Diamond teams, is that they do play fast League of Legends. And we have seen a lot of that here. It is required by the composition, but I really like how Supernova was able to recover the deficit, Mazel. I think the AoE helped by kind of walking forward and encouraging that, but Supernova, they have caught those well. They've been able to run the fights out the way that they wanted to operate them, and Array, being that big team fighting marksman, he was given the resources early, and he cashed it in.
Yeah, and that's also something that, especially in the developmental league, we always want to see is the cash-ins of that development, and something like that is a trademark of that. Zamudo, he's getting a pretty healthy chunk of his health, and this siege is onwards and upwards for Supernova. Oh, look at this mid lane here, too, and they should have enough to do it, as they still have about a minute and a half. Weaver's Wall coming across is just to deny some of it, but they don't deny much. It was just one cannon minion that didn't get in there to join his friends. It should just be Supernova making some permanent damage done to AoE's base.
AoE, again, they're going to have to try and play these fights really slow. Senna trying to get multiple Qs off of fights from these line heals. They are very tanky. Can they get through these big health bars of Supernova? And Supernova is still very strong right now. The Ocean Soul going to help fight the Senna sustain as well. In this elongated siege situation, still pretty good. Still, they have this wave of the next for Baron. That's a good flick from Monad.
Nice triple, though. And Zamudo's coming over on the side. Array's already going to use the Feather Storm. You got to watch out for that Blade Caller on the back end here. AoE know that. They've got to play really carefully so Supernova get out.
See, for me, that's how AoE wants to play fights, right? Like, lean on the Talia, the center range, force cooldowns out when you do find picks. You do find flicks from the Talia. I think that's a much better setup for AoE, and I like how they didn't chase that one. They just took the small win. They repelled Supernova on the push. There could have been one more Baron wave that Supernova could have had if they did stay in that bot lane. Instead, they used the last of their Baron to reset. It's a nice power play, a 3k gold for Supernova. Still a tough state for AoE, but for me, that's kind of the approach that AoE needed with this comp from the start.
There's been some maybe forgetful moments thinking about the compositional strengths.
Can be.
Now you got to be really careful. We got a wide shot view, but it's all zooming in on AoE getting caught. He's coming in, though. That's Zamudo. He is the damage dealer right now. It feels like Array's going to use the cleanse, get out of that glacial prison. But it's Faisal tanking up the front line here as well. They take down the tower, too, and the siege is going to continue here as Kenby goes forward. Rosethorn doesn't even get a chance to touch his buttons. My goodness, that man just got put in a bouncy castle, and Supernova take it all day.
And Ocean Soul plus a Karma, I don't think there's anything else that AoE can do. They don't have the DPS. They aren't able to find the burst damage to get out of the Ocean Soul as Zamudo gets ran down, and the fight continues.
They continue to snowball that one. That's going to be another inhib here, too. Yeah. Breezy's got to be really careful. he's able to make it away. That inhib is going to fall. They've got super minions in top and mid. And they actually have a wave crashing right now in mid lane with a super minion. I don't know if they want, actually, if they catch Onad here, one more auto. They can't get it though, but Wixie is gonna be a little bit backwards. Oh my God, he just goes down. Okay, well, they just end the game here. Supernova have done a super game number 1 as they take a 1-0 over AOE to start it off.
You know, and for me, with AoE, I'm going to look at a couple things. One, I don't know if the Sejuani fits that Senna Nautilus. I feel like you need a little bit more damage out of the jungle if you're going to run that core. 2, and most importantly for me, they just didn't play the comp out well. Like, I think they continuously tried to attack Supernova once they got the lead. No, there's a comp where you try and play to catch them. Force the Xin to burn his cooldowns to go into you and then throw everything back at him. That's how you end up, you know, really leaning on the strength of the Senna Nautilus and where that duo is so good. It's when people have to jump into you. Because it's impossible to get through Senna Nautilus if you play it well. That wasn't how it was played out. Instead, they tried to use it to push with the other things. Not enough damage. Ended up falling behind. And Supernova got to their power spikes. And Array, he was given some of that free time. When they opted to contest the grubs, he got the gold on his shoulders, and he really cashed that in.
Yeah, he definitely did. The momentum from yesterday's win was not enough to guarantee a win here in game number 1, at least for AOE. We'll see if they can bounce back or if Supernova continue their star-studded streak. We'll be back.
Introducing the new foot-long sidekicks at Subway. Try the warm and delicious foot-long cookie, foot-long pretzel, or foot-long churro.
We're the LCS Challengers League. We're the future of the LCS.
We're Challengers League. We change our name and format every 2 years. I wonder what the next one's gonna be.
We're Challengers League. Of course we play Best of Breed and Fearless Draft.
We're Challengers League. Of course we have pauses too, but ours are fire alarms.
We're Challengers League. Who should actually wins here?
We're Challengers League. We play every single weekend, even if LCS takes it off.
We're Challengers League. Our Twitch stream has a sub button.
We're Challengers League. FlyQuest, also #1 right now.
We're Challengers League, and we're taking over the Riot Games Arena.